Now, of course, Raisha, there's lots to unpack here, and to discuss this further, we're now being joined live on this bulletin with John Eretz, Senior Policy Director for the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, I want to start by asking you, as you of course know by now, Israel is planning out its response to the Iranian strikes on its soil. Now, this at a time when there are growing calls for there to be peace in the region and immediate de-escalation and cessation of hostilities. What sort of a response can we actually expect from Israel?
I think Israel is probably considering a range of responses, likely attacks on Iranian military facilities or possibly Iranian proxies such as Hezbollah. But it's really going to be up to the Israeli government to decide what is the appropriate response, or if any response is needed at this point. Given the spectacular failure of the Iranian attacks on Israel, there's a case to be made that Israel should just declare that it has won and stop the cycle of escalation right here.
Right. The United States made it clear that the fact that the Iranian attack was largely thwarted was a response enough. So do you think an Israeli response now could perhaps jeopardize support from allies for Israel?
It, of course, would depend on the nature of the Israeli response. The responses that caused civilian casualties that would seem disproportional, that would certainly jeopardize Allied support for Israel. A small-scale strike on a military facility likely would not have that same kind of impact.
Right, sir. Now, that being said, and of course we've touched on this, but just for more clarity here, many analysts expected that this really could be the time that Israel pivots from its current strategy, and that is to hit back and come out with a strong response. But at a time when Iran has categorically said that their response, if there is any retaliation from the United States or Israel, there would be a more severe response. So does this threaten a wider regional conflict?
If we get into a cycle where each side tries to respond more severely, stronger than the other, then that is a cycle of escalation, and that would, of course, threaten a wider conflict. The opportunity, of course, is there for one side or the other to cut off this cycle and to go back to a more peaceful way of getting along. But it's not clear that that is going to happen.
Right, Ms. Eric, we'll wait and have to see the response from Israel's side or by the attack on Iran. But thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on WION.
You're very welcome.